Hello, this is Artemis_anime, and today I am reading Human Dad and Rat Son by Sleepy Youngs. Summary. Izuku is the adopted son of Nezu, and with that, he tends to get away with smaller things that his classmates can't. Or, a 5+1 of Nezu being the adopted dad of Izuku. Notes. Small content warning, description of a panic attack, and mentions of abuse/experimenting. 1. The things he gets away with. Izuku was a special person, part of Class 1A, not only for the fact that he brought the literal sun with him wherever he goes, not only for the fact that he was shockingly smart, genius level smart even, he was the only ones in the class, heck, the school, to have Nezu recognize his smarts and take him as an apprentice. Though, while Izuku was special due to all of those things, it wasn't what made him the most special. What made Izuku special was the things he got away with. For example, coming into class without wearing the gray blazer jacket, but rather, he wears a nice and comfy-looking oversized hoodie. Aizawa never says anything, and for the most part, neither does the class. If it's okay with Aizawa, of all people, then it must be fine. Though, of course, the action didn't go fully unnoticed. Of course not. Today, Izuku came into class early, as per usual. Izuku had on an oversized hoodie that was washed out in light pink and baggy, to the point of it looking like a cozy dress of some sort. The hood had white bunny ears, and the back of said hoodie, there was a white cotton tail. Overall, it was very cute, but definitely not within the dress code. But, of course, Izuku easily walked past Aizawa and to his seat. The man paid no mind to the hood either. "Oh, Deku-kun, you look so cute. You have to tell me where you shop, please," Uraka said, taking her usual spot on top of Izuku's desk, with a casual smile on her lips. "Yeah, Izu, babe. We have to go shopping together, okay?" Ashido was also sitting next to take her spot on the other side of the desk, sitting right next to Uraka. "Oh, sure, I mostly go online, but," Izuku said, unsure, as he awkwardly gave a smile that was hesitant. "Absolutely not. I think it is unacceptable that Izuku-kun wears such a thing. You are disrespecting the dress code. Please do not go encouraging such actions." Ida had spoken up, with his hands chopping and his tone strict and taut. Subtly, Izuku, he gave a small curl and recoiled into himself from the sudden loud reprimanding from his friend. "Oh, Ida, don't be such a downer," Ashido said, with her tongue sticking out as she childishly gave him a raspberry. Ida gave an offended and indecent squawk to what Ashido said, while he narrowed his eyes. "I am not being a downer, I am simply reinforcing the rules, and Izuku is not following the rules." "There isn't any rule that says I can't," Izuku spoke up, lowly and shyly as he peered at the now suddenly silenced teen. He took the chance to continue to speak before he couldn't. Aizawa-sensei says it's okay, and so does Nezu." Izuku was glad his classmates had glazed over such a stammer. His mistake, such as nearly calling Aizawa Shota and Nezu Papa. Now that would be embarrassing and hard to explain. "Ah, I see. Well, that is my mistake then. I am very sorry, Izuku-kun." Ida bowed in a sharp angle, apologizing profusely for what he had done. Izuku, overwhelmed, just waved his hands around and gave an accepting nod of his head. It's okay, Ida-san. Really?" 2. Izuku's no good day. Today wasn't a good day for Izuku. He hadn't had a good sleep since he woke up from the very vivid dream of his mother being killed in front of his eyes by the doctor who had diagnosed him quirkless, the doctor who had took him away after that, and he was tested on. He was, by the doctor's words, a perfect subject to test on for a new batch of quirks. He had never gotten a quirk, but he traded them for pain and memories that had scarred the depths of his mind. So, like Izuku said, today wasn't a good day, and it didn't help that his papa was gone. He believes Nezu was at a meeting, but Izuku didn't care. He wanted his dad, and he wanted him now. call him bratty, but he couldn't deal with the constant phantom pain of the digging, the egging, the scraping, and the doctor using the same rusted-up, dulled blade to cut into him before injecting a new, unknown substance into him. Izuku's throat was burning. He could already feel the white-hot pain of the acidity liquid pumping into his veins as he tried to cry out, but his lungs felt as if snakes were coiled tightly around them. Izuku couldn't breathe. His throat was closing and his mind was blanking. Suddenly, Izuku wasn't in UA anymore. He couldn't breathe. The dirty iron-smelling room burned as it forced its way up his nose, and Izuku felt himself spiral further into the void. He felt his body float as if he wasn't truly there. He couldn't hear. Only nothing but the ringing and the popping sounds that was blasting in his ears as if he was soaring higher and higher, and voices filled his head. It sounded vaguely familiar, and it sounded more comforting than the gravelly voice of the doctor. Izuku decided to reach for that person to try and call out. But as he tried frustratedly, his voice wad tight and he couldn't speak. He could feel the boiling hot tears start to pour as he clung on to something he had to guess. It was the person who was now talking. It was the only thing keeping him stable. "It's Izuku," said the person, and Izuku believed them. He had hiccuped as he tearfully took in longer and more stable breaths. He could smell the cheap cologne that poorly hid the roasted coffee overtones. Shota, his mind provided. It was his brother-like figure, which, while not his dad, was the next best thing. Shh. Weakly, Izuku tried to speak, but failed. Instead, he shakily huffed and took to raising a hand. P.A. P.A.? Izuku signed, and Shota, he gave a soft sigh. It wasn't irritable, nor was it negative. It was what it was. A simple sigh, giving him the gentle release of a breath. "I called him. He'll be here soon, okay? For now, let's get you out of here and into the lounge." Fully aware now, Izuku was in his classroom. He didn't know when he made it into the classroom, but he was on the ground while the door was closed and his classmates, who he could hear whispering, were waiting outside. Waiting. Oh, that was embarrassing. And such a burden. He hoped he didn't cause any trouble. "Don't worry. They're worried, but they know not to mess with you. If anyone does, tell Nezu." "He'll expel them." "Exactly." "Oh. Well, Izuku made a mental note not to tell Aizawa anything either. He really doesn't want anyone of his class expelled if it's not necessary. 3. Cuddles with a Nezu plushie. "Guys!" Kaminari hushedly yelled as he rounded the corner and slided to a halt. "What is it, dump's face? Can't you see I'm fucking kicking Shitty Hair's ass at Mario?" Bakugo snarled irritably, as he quite literally smashed the buttons of the switch. Well, they started to make a creaking and cracking noise. Kaminari could already tell that would need replacing soon. "Haha, I'm in second, Baku bro. What you gonna do?" Kirishima teased as a low growl ripped from Bakugo. Oh, I'll fucking show you what I'll do." Explosions let loose, and now the once tack game was blown into pieces. Kirishima pouted with his eyes shining with unshed tears. "Bro," he whispered sadly, and Bakugo merely grinned triumphantly. "Ignore them, Kami. They're idiots. What's up?" Zero asked, blatantly ignoring the loud ripping rumbling of Bakugo, now yelling at him an oppressive amount of swells. "Oh, shit. I nearly forgot. Yeah, you guys gotta see this. It's Izubro." "Oh no, is Izube okay?" Shido asked, her face fallen already, thinking of the worst of the worst. Who fucking cares about that nerd? If he's hurt, so what?" And that earned him a harsh smack on the upside of his head from Jiro as she glared pointedly. "The fuck?" "We do care. Is the green dude good?" Kira cut Bakugo swearing in angered cussers. The ashen teen took to staring at her with a heated look as he stared long enough. She'll disappear. Oh, no, he's fine. Just come here. With that, Kaminari shot off to the elevators and down to the common room before his friends even had the chance to even breathe. He was just too excited to show them what he saw. And he apparently wasn't the only one excited and curious. Around Izuku stood a crowd of others. Uraka, Yaoyorozu, and Toru were all at the front, cooing at him as they all snapped photos. Shinso, Todoroki, and Asui stared curiously, but at a distance that was respectable. Ida was also there, though more so for the sake of shooing away the crowd. If anything, that drew in more people who were passing by, such as Tokuyami, who had paused to take a peek, and Ayama, who was coming down from the stairs and had moved to the very front of the crowd of cooing girls. It wasn't long until Kaminari's own set of friends came down, dragging a very begrudging Bakugo. "Oh my gosh!" Ashido squealed lowly as she took a mad dash over to Izuku, who was sleeping on the couch. Though that would be normal, if he didn't have Nezu curled up into his arms and chest, it was as if Izuku was using the principal as some sort of cuddle plushie, and it was cute. Is this what you wanted to fucking show me? Waste of time. I'm gonna go to the gym, Bakugo growled, as he was forcibly shoved past the crowd of teens. Huh. How did something like that even happen? Giro questioned, whilst Firo gave a shrug. I don't know. It's fucking adorable. Yeah, you can say that again, the purple-haired girl mumbled, nodding her head in agreement. 4. A feral Izuku is a bad Izuku. Izuku, Todoroki quietly called out to the white-haired teen. He was conscious enough to make sure his footsteps were loud and his body movements weren't wild or alarming as he tapped Izuku on the shoulder. Expectedly still, Izuku gave a small jerk of his body before he headed swiftly to give a turn over to Todoroki. Oh, Todoroki-kun, what's the matter? Can you explain this to me? I know I'm decent at quirk history, but you are at the top of the class, Todoroki asked, as he showed the piece of paper that had the basic questions about quirk history. It was simple. It should have been a 10-minute assignment at most. Yet, for some reason, Todoroki was struggling. Ah, of course, Todoroki-kun. Take a seat, let's get started. Almost in a ferally wild glint took over Izuku's candy green eyes as he pressed his fingertips together and smiled so big that Todoroki swore he could see the canine within the near madness of a smile. Perhaps it was a bad idea to go to Izuku. He already felt the aching pain start to wrap around his brain as fear crept its way up his spine. He does hope he'll make it out of this one alive. 5. No name. Zu, how come you never have anyone call you by your last name? One day, a classmate, Shinso, was brave enough to ask the white-haired teen. Izuku gave a stall as he stared up to Shinso with a contemplative glance. Oh, Izuku mumbled, not sure how to even start an answer at that question. It seems the fact that his last name is his mother's, and it hurts to remember her despite all the good times. It stems down to the fact that his father, and Izuku uses that term very loosely, sent out someone to kill his mother to take him away, to allow the doctor and at other times others to experiment on him. Really, it stems down to the bad blood between his name that he would rather not associate himself with. It was only after he found Nezu at the age of 10 when he made a brazen and bold escape away from his father and the doctor when he truly felt safe again, when he truly learned what family was once again, when Nezu adopted him at 11 and took him despite him being hard to handle. Nezu was his dad in every way but blood, and Izuku was okay with that. Nezu didn't share a last name, and neither did Izuku. Taking on a smile, it was a bit bitter and a bit sweet. It held many secrets, and at the same time, it held so many answers. He spoke back to Shinso. Because Papa shared no last name, and just like Papa, I don't. The answer was vague, it was confusing, but it was true, and Shinso seemed to accept it even though he didn't fully understand it. He just gave a slow nod as he walked off to do his own thing. +1. Nezu's son? Rat? What? Izuku was having another bad day, but this time Papa was with him, which had turned the horrible day into a slightly better day. Izuku's papa, Nezu, buried himself into the hood of his hoodie while he curled himself into the crook of Izuku's neck. It was comforting, and Izuku enjoyed the soft plushiness of Nezu. It was almost like a cuddle while standing. Aizawa-sensei, Papa, Nezu is with me today. Izuku wobbled and trembled over his words, but Aizawa simply ignored the errors and gave a nod of his head before he waved Izuku off. Oh my gosh, that's so cute, Ashido squealed, and not long after her, Uraraka joined in. Whoa, Uraraka said in shock as she joined Izuku over his desk. Not so subtly, she was snapping pictures, but Nezu wasn't bothered and Izuku wasn't either. Hello, young heroes, Nezu said brightly, as he peeked his head over Izuku's hood, with a smile that felt as if it was trying to be gentle, yet it held a bit of chaotic nature to it. Hey, Mr. Nezu, Uraraka chirped, and soon people followed behind her. Ah, Principal Nezu, an honor for you to join us today. We will be on our best and trying behavior. Nezu simply laughed and waved off at Ida, who had bowed in front of Izuku with respect. Was all Izuku could murmur as he stared at his friend. Hey, Nezu dude, Kirishima greeted, and Ida whipped his head around to stare at the red-headed teen, with his jaw dropped at the relaxed tone he had. Hello, Kirishima-kun! Though Nezu, he seemed to not be bothered by the lack of formality, he just grinned bigger to it. If I can ask, Mr. Nezu, how come you are joining us today? Yayorozu asked as she shifted closer to Izuku's desk to hear what the principal had to say. For a moment, Nezu didn't answer. Instead, he took a glance at Izuku, who gave a shaky nod of his head, giving whatever permission Nezu was asking for. Well, I am here for my son, of course. Is he like a baby mice? Or, Kaminari asked, confused and a bit horrified at the thought of mini Nezus running around school. Oh, heavens, no! My human son, why, of course. Nezu chuckled humorously at the mere thought of having an actual tiny mice babies clinging to him or running around school. Nezu simply could never. Children were not for him, at least biologically, although he was all for adopting his own. Human? Kaminari murmured, and his brain paused, rebooted, before it had shut down once again. Stop thinking so hard, Pikachu, before you cause a power outage, Giro had warned with a smack on the upside of his head with one of her jacks. Wow, okay, but jeez, how does that even work? Garu, I agree with Kaminari. How does one like you, sir, have a human child? Adoption? Garu, Ashisui asked, with a poke of her tongue out, as she cocked her head to the side. Right you are, Asui-san! Nezu cheered on, with a slow, soft clap of his paws. I feel bad for that kid, Kirishima said in horrified awe as he wondered who the child could be like. Sir, who is your son? Ashido asked, as she was practically bouncing on the heels of her feet, just waiting to know who Nezu of all people had adopted. The rat merely grinned. Who do you think? He asked, with a small head tilt, as his beady eyes stared at them with a mischievous glint in them. Wait a second, Uraraka whispered, her eyes focused between Izuku and the principal, who was cuddled up in his hoodie. Wait 1 damn second, Uraraka said, and a wave of realization hit her all at once. From the times Izuku was found cuddled up under Nezu in the common room to how he got away with things that most wouldn't, it made sense now that she was thinking about it, and it also made her feel so stupid for not thinking about it. Holy shit, Izuku's your son? She had blurted out without thinking, and all Nezu did was chuckle and hid himself within the comfortable hoodie. Tsume, is that true? Ashido cried out, bewildered. The white-haired teen slowly nodded his head as he curled himself, suddenly feeling like he was the priest on display. Yes? He whispered, though by some miracle or curse everyone had heard him. Holy fuck, cursed Kaminari, who now was over-circuiting himself, and was now walking away in a zombie-like state, shouting, Hey! That was all Sierra said as he stared agape. This is certainly a new turn of events, Yaoyorozu pondered to himself as she stared between the father and son duo. And it certainly explains some things. Ida piped in, with his arms cutting up and down in a harsh, stiff motion. Indeed, was all Yaoyorozu could say as she, once again, took glances between the duo. It really was an interesting change of events. Notes! Could you tell I had too much fun with this? Like, I added a Big Brother Shota, too, without even trying. Oops. I love Dad Zawa or Uncle Zawa, but Bro Zawa? My gosh, that's where it's at. And Dad Zoo was so fun to write. I wasn't sure how I wanted to go with this, and I thought it'd be forever writing it when I started, but apparently I wasn't. But I hope you enjoyed, especially for all of you people asking for Nezu. There were a lot. I hope this was good enough for you all. If you want anything else, whether it be villain, hero, or anything in between, let me know. Heart emoticon. And that was the end of Human Son and Rat Dad by Sleepy Youngs. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you next week with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fanfiction. If you do not want to listen to that one, please do skip it. I will be figuring out new My Hero Academia things to be reading as well. See you guys next time. Bye!